unveiling its highly anticipated GPT-5, calling it the smartest, fastest, and most advanced AI model to date.
When we talk about artificial intelligence, every new generation brings a leap forward. From GPT-2 to GPT-3, then GPT-4, each upgrade has been more capable, more reliable, and more impactful. And now, GPT-5 represents the next milestone in this journey. So, how good is GPT-5 really? First, let's start with understanding what it is. GPT-5 is the latest large language model developed by OpenAI. It has been trained on vast amounts of text and fine-tuned to not just generate words, but to understand context, nuance, and intent at a level that feels closer to natural human communication than ever before.
Launched ChatGPT. And since then, it has become the default way that people use AI. In that first week, 1 million people tried it out. And we thought that was pretty incredible. But now, about 700 million people use ChatGPT every week and increasingly rely on it to work, to learn, for advice, to create, and much more. Today, finally.
So, how effective is GPT-5 when it comes to learning? First, it's important to understand what learning actually requires. Learning isn't just about getting answers. It's about understanding concepts, connecting ideas, and applying knowledge. GPT-5 is designed to help with all three. Unlike older AI systems that gave quick, sometimes shallow responses, GPT-5 can break down complex topics into simple explanations. If you're struggling with mathematics, it won't just provide the solution. It can walk you through each step, explaining the reasoning behind it. If you're learning a new language, it can act as a conversation partner, correcting mistakes and suggesting improvements in real time. This makes learning more interactive and personalized.
First of all, one important takeaway is you can have an AI system that can do all those amazing things you just said, and it clearly does not replicate a lot of what humans are good at doing, which I think says something about the value of SAT tests or whatever else. But I think had you gone back to, if we were having this conversation the day of GPT-4 launch and we told you how GPT-4 did at those things, you were like, oh man, this is going to have huge impacts and some negative impacts on what it means for a bunch of jobs or, what people are going to do. And
artificial intelligence is powerful. Too powerful, some would say. And while GPT-5 brings incredible opportunities, we cannot ignore its darker side. Because with every tool that promises progress comes a cost. The first cost is dependence. People are beginning to rely on GPT-5 for everything: writing, thinking, even decision-making. At first, it feels helpful, but slowly, without realizing it, we hand over our ability to struggle, to wrestle with ideas, to think deeply on our own.
Man, this is going to have huge impacts and some negative impacts on what it means for a bunch of jobs or, what people are going to do. And, this is a bunch of positive impacts that you might have predicted that haven't yet come true. And so there's something about the way that these models are good that does not capture a lot of other things that we need people to do or care about people doing. And I suspect that same thing is going to happen again with GPT-5. People are going to be blown away by what it does. It's really good at a lot of things. And then they will find that they want it to do even more.
What happens when we forget how to think for ourselves? The second danger is displacement. GPT-5 can draft contracts, design marketing campaigns, generate lesson plans, even code software. But behind every one of those tasks is a human being who used to do it for a living. For many, this AI is not just a tool, it's competition. And when the competition works faster, cheaper, and around the clock, how long before jobs disappear? How long before people feel replaced? Then there's the risk of false trust. GPT-5 sounds human, convincing, confident, calm. But confidence doesn't always equal truth. Imagine a student learning history, absorbing small mistakes as fact, or a professional making a critical decision, trusting an answer that sounds right, but is dangerously wrong. That trust, once broken, can have consequences that ripple far beyond the screen.
You want to run a gigawatt scale data center. It's like, a gigawatt, how hard can that be to find? It's really hard to find a gigawatt of power available in short term. We're also very much limited.
The next big thing we all need to know is that we often celebrate artificial intelligence for what it gives us, knowledge at our fingertips, creativity on demand, productivity at a scale we've never seen before. But there's a side we rarely talk about, a cost that isn't measured in dollars alone, but in energy. Because every time we ask GPT-5 a question, every time it generates an essay, writes code, or explains an idea, it consumes energy. Not the energy of a single laptop or phone, but the energy of massive data centers filled with thousands of high-powered servers working nonstop. And the truth is, GPT-5 is hungry. Very hungry.
Limited by the processing chips and the memory chips, how you package these all together, how you build the racks. And then there's like a list of other things that are, there's like permits, there's construction work. But again, the goal here will be to really automate this. Once we get some of those robots built, they can help us automate it even more.
Let's face it, for centuries, humans worked with their hands and minds to build livelihoods. But now, in office after office, factory after factory, those same tasks are being taken over by machines. Where a writer once drafted content, GPT-5 can do it in seconds. Where an assistant once managed schedules, AI tools can automate the entire process. Where teams of analysts once crunched numbers, algorithms now deliver insights faster and cheaper.
And then there's algorithmic design.
Yeah, we've made huge progress on algorithmic design. The thing that OpenAI does best in the world is we have built this culture of repeated and big algorithmic research gains. So we kind of, figured out what became the GPT paradigm. We figured out what became the reasoning paradigm. We're working on some new ones now.
At its core, an algorithm is simply a set of rules, a recipe for solving problems. But in GPT-5, the algorithms are far more advanced than anything we've seen before. They determine how the model organizes billions of parameters, how it learns from patterns in language, and how it balances speed, accuracy, and reasoning. One of the biggest improvements is in efficiency of learning. Instead of treating all data the same, GPT-5's algorithms are designed to weigh relevance, filter noise, and focus on what truly matters. This means the system doesn't just memorize, it generalizes. It can apply lessons from one context to another, giving responses that feel smarter, more adaptable, and more human. Another breakthrough is context management. Earlier models often forgot what you said halfway through a long conversation. GPT-5's algorithms allow it to remember and process longer sequences of text, weaving together ideas across extended interactions. This is why GPT-5 feels less like a machine answering questions and more like a partner following your train of thought.
But it is very exciting to me to think that there are still many more orders of magnitudes of algorithmic gains ahead of us. We just yesterday released a model called GPT-OSS, an open source model. It's a model that is as smart as